So I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. I had somebody stop out for a little bit, and then my camera ran out of batteries. So when I got back in while it was charging, I ended up finishing up routering the rest of these pieces out that I needed. So now I got my first groove on the face frame dadoed out, and it goes all the way around. So that's going to provide the outside slider track for one of the doors. Now I got to switch over the bit and do the 1/4 inch and dado out the same thing, a groove that goes all the way around, but it's going to have to stop in between where this board joins. So I'll take the dado groove up to maybe a 1/4 inch up, maybe a little bit more, 3/8, and then I'll stop. And same thing with down here on the bottom. So I got my pocket hole bit out, and I got my plexiglass. I just got to measure that out. My next few steps are going to be to cut this in half. That's going to provide the 2 sliding doors. And then I'm going to glue and screw the face frame together. I can put my first door in, the face frame there, and screw that together. And then I got to come up with a plexiglass piece for the bottom. So what I'll do is I'll just get this all together and then leave this bottom rail off. That way when I get my plexi, I can just put it mounted in and screw the face frame together. And then at that point I'll be getting pretty close. I might, before I screw it together, I got another groove on the back face that I'm going to have to take out, and that's going to be a 7/8 inch dado that goes the whole length, and that's going to be for where the other side, from where the side joins in to the face frame. So I got a couple steps here underway, and probably set the camera up, show you guys along the process here. So I'll be back in a minute. I'm just going to get this all set up. Hey guys, I'm back. I'm all set up now. Rip a cut here on my plexiglass. These are going to be the front sliding doors. This is an expensive piece of plastic right here, so I got to make sure I got this perfectly set up. I'm actually going to bump this out a little bit more. See if I can split it right down the middle. I went ahead and I put wax, some finishing wax, on the table saw and also the blade, just to help this slide through a little easier. And then back here, 23 7/8. It's a little bit shy there. A little shy there. So we're nice and square. There'll be a lot of PVC smell in the air. And we got 2 front sliding doors. And it came out perfect. So now I can kind of test fit everything in, just to make sure before I start drilling my pocket holes. And then I'll have a good idea of how my face frame is looking. And then we'll take the face frame back apart, and I'll have to finish routering out the sides so that so that the sides can mount into the front face frame there. I got to dado out a similar groove, but that one's not going to be quite as deep. So, and that one's going to have to will be the exact width of this board here, because it's going to butt right into it like that on the back. And I'll make sure that I leave a little bit of room so that this can slide back and forth and that it's not super tight in there. So let's see, this part can be like that. So I'll probably, although I don't have the material yet, I'm thinking of just cutting a 1/4 inch groove in there. Front sliding door on this, on the bottom part also. What I end up having to do is switch the blade back up on that, the router bit. From right now it's a 3/8 inch wide bit, and I'm gonna have to step it down 1/8 of an inch and get a 1/4. To set up my router, first thing I do, usually I pull this key out just so it doesn't turn on accident, because sometimes I've had it where I'll have a project up here and bump that on, and it can destroy a project pretty fast if it comes on like that. It's kind of like pulling a Tim Allen. So what I like to pull the key out just so I know it's not going to turn on. And then I got to come underneath here and unlock the router from the collar that it's in. Drop it out of there. Kind of just drops out and twists. And I get my double wrenches out here. One on the base and then one on the collet. And I loosen that up, and it's going to be able to spin by hand and get to a certain point where I can't get it, so I got to double it again with the wrench and then break that free. So now it's loose. And there's the 3/8 inch bit I've been using. I'm going to switch it out here. I got a couple options. So I think for now what I want to do is run the 1/4 inch and do the same thing that I did with that 3/8 inch. So I don't have the plexiglass yet for the 1/4 inch, but I at least got a couple test pieces so I can test the track and make sure it's going to be wide enough and that it won't be too tight. So I'd like to get this nice and snug in there so it's not going to move on me. There we go. Okay. So that's not going to go anywhere. And then I can put the 3/8 inch bit away for now. I won't need this again until we come up on the inside track. So I like to try to keep my bits organized, otherwise they end up all over the place. put this back up in here with the little twist. And then it looks like we're right in there. So I got height-wise. Now it's just a matter of adjusting how far in and out that is. So I'm going to take my little piece of scrap cut off wood from earlier. It's the same thickness as the rails I'm going to be using. And I'm just going to line that up in there. And probably bring it forward a little bit. Let's see, this time I just got to make sure that on every board I run through that the face of the board is either facing this way on every single one or facing that way on every single one. So right now I'm just trying to determine if it makes a difference. I want to leave 1/8 of an inch of a gap on one of the ends, and then that way I'll have a slider that's going to make the slider track, and the 1/8 of an inch that I leave will be the divider between the two pieces of plexiglass. So, and the closer that you get that crack, then the less of a gap you have between the two pieces of plexi. So I shoot for about 1/8 of an inch or so. That looks like about it right there. So I'm going to loosen up my clamps in the back here and get my fence situated into position. Then I got to get my tape measure out here and set the ends of the fence back up. So it looks like we are at 12 3/8. So just got to come just a little bit there. I'm going to bring this board forward until it contacts my fence. Hold it in position. Tighten that clamp up. We gotta get 12 3/8 down here. 12 1/4. So we gotta move it back. 12 3/8 is right there. Loosen this clamp up and move it into position. Tighten that up. Give it a little test. And then I'm just looking to see by eye. It looks pretty good. And I'm actually thinking of running. Actually, I can run any test piece through. Here's a. Oh. What's this? So I'm going to run this test piece through. It's a piece of curly walnut, English walnut, and it'll show me the gap, the ledge there, and I'm hoping that it's going to be about 1/8 of an inch. And it looks like we're at pretty close. Looks like 3/16. A little heavy of 1/8, but that's alright. I think that's going to be good for us. Now I want to grab a piece of 1/4 inch plexiglass that I have on hand and just make sure, just get an idea of the fit. Oh, it actually looks like it's going to be perfect. I don't want it to be tight in there at all. It is a sliding door. So now what I got to do is take a look back at my wood here and draw everything out on the bottom rectangle here, and just trace out where the dado groove is going to go, the 1/4 inch dado groove. So where I'm at now, and before I do any more routering, because it's starting to get kind of late tonight, I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to join my middle sections here, all the rails that go across on the front face frame. So I got my top rail, my middle rail, and the bottom rail here. I'm planning on using pocket holes and pocket screws to join all these. So first I'm going to flip all these over so that they're face down, because we want to do the drilling on the side that you don't see. And let's see here, the bottom and top should be able to sneak 2 screws in. The middle piece will only have 1 screw. So I got my Craig jig set up for 7/8 inch thickness, and my face clamp on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and drill these out. Before I move it, I'm going to hit the second hole here. This is the middle rail, and this is what it looks like face on. So I'll only be able to sneak 1 screw in there, and to keep it from twisting in the frame, well, it's going to have it's a glue joint, but it's also going to have another piece of the frame that comes inside to help brace it. So this one, I just want to make sure my hole's not going to come through on in the track, and where the plexiglass needs to slide through. Must have hit a knot there. Seemed like it was fighting me. Just double check to make sure we didn't go through on the tracks. It looks good. Blow that jig out. That probably had some sawdust in it. Could have been what was holding me up. So this one's going to have 2 pocket holes in there again. This is the top rail. Let's double check to make sure we're on there nice and straight. Clean out the flutes on my bit there too. That sawdust isn't holding me up. Pretty clean holes there. Now I'm just going to flip these around so I can drill out the other side.